Hey everyone, I'm Josh,
And I'm Kelly.
and welcome to Uprooted Faith, a weekly video series on our YouTube channel where we tackle a wide variety of topics related to Christianity, religion, or whatever else is on our mind. Tonight we're going to discuss a doozy, and it's more of, I guess we could say, classified under Christianity in the news. Something that's come up recently is, I was reading an article about Louisiana has been in the news lately, and they said that starting February 20th of 2026, all public school classrooms are required to display the Ten Commandments. Now, one thing to note,
Wait a minute. Which 10 Commandments?
it says the
There,
Ten Commandments.
there are 613 laws in the Old Testament and over 1,000 commandments in the New Testament.
But only 10 the Ten Commandments. That's a fair point. We can get to it in a little bit.
I'm just saying.
So it is worth saying, or worth noting, that Louisiana did work to pass this law back in 2024, but it was blocked by the lower courts. So since then, it's brought up to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Court of Appeals had said, basically discarding all decisions by the lower courts, saying it's not unconstitutional at this point. They really want to see it in action before they can determine if it is really unconstitutional, is how they claim it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Louisiana. I know Texas is doing something, and I think South Carolina and Georgia are doing stuff as well. The other thing, so we're both from Indiana, and there's a House bill that recently passed through committee, and it's going to go to the House at some point for vote, but it's also working to display the Ten Commandments. Now, I found this interesting is that it's not requiring the Ten Commandments in all schools, it's keeping it optional and leaving it up to the local school boards to determine if they should list the Ten Commandments in those school boards. And that was an amendment to be able to get it to pass through committee. So, interesting stuff.
Yeah, they really had to make adjustments to that bill.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that maybe their time could have been used better than this argument. But,
Yeah.
But carry on.
So, I figure what better way to start than let's list out some of the reasons that people are advocating for putting the Ten Commandments in the school. And let's discuss, do they have any merit?
Okay.
And where we go from there. So first one, I think, is really the claim that the Ten Commandments have been part of our cultural and legal heritage of Western civilization. They claim Ten Commandments were used by the framers of the Constitution to draft up the Constitution, which I don't think is correct at all.
I wish we had a buzzer.
Buzzer for what?
For incorrect answer. Because I would be hitting that right now. That's not true.
Yeah. So that's what, it says. So when doing some research, it said that the framers didn't look in the commandments at all. They drew from English common law because they came over from England. They looked at Enlightenment philosophy, and they had the desire to avoid any religious entanglement common with European governments. Because as you recall, they fled Europe because of the English, the nationalized English church. Was it
the Church of England?
Church of England. Okay, I got the words flip flop.
And
Yes.
and they have this history of flip flopping between Catholicism and the Church of England, and it depended on who was king or queen at the time, and I mean, sometimes you must have gotten like whiplash just changing religions, or not religion really, but you know what I mean.
The other thing to argue is if you look at like the First Amendment, the First Commandment, which is "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," sort of contradicts the First Amendment that says there's freedom of religion and speech. Well, if there's freedom of religion, how can you say that you need to obey this God?
Yeah, and
or force it upon you.
Yeah.
So, because of this too, I think the argument could be said, besides that, using it as a moral baseline. So people see schools struggling with discipline now, kids are going out, there's, violence, there's gangs, whatever. If these kids see a Ten Commandments posted in their school every day, it could help them change their mind and improve their moral behavior, right?
Well, you can't legislate morals and values. And is it really the school's job to do that? Nobody's going to look at the Ten Commandments and go, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. I'll stop doing that now. I found out something interesting
What's that?
that I didn't know when I started poking around. There's a connection between this push to have, the Ten Commandments, out there, posted or in monuments, has been around for a long time. And in 1946, there was a judge who sentenced a 16-year-old boy to memorizing the Ten Commandments because he thought that would help, their morality. And he thought that the Ten Commandments ought to be put in the hands of every teenager. And because they were, worried about the youth getting all crazy.
Yeah.
As crazy as you could in the 40s, I guess. But so he was also a member of the Eagles, the Fraternal Order of Eagles. And the Eagles decided that they would finance the construction of over 4,000 tablet-shaped granite monuments to be dispersed around the nation.
Do you know how big these monuments were?
Well, I saw a picture of some men around the monument, and I would say it was probably this tall. Like there were 4 or 5 men standing around. It was
Really?
substantial, yeah. And in 1957 is when they donated all these monuments. And the interesting thing is that it was coordinated with the release of the film, The Ten Commandments, that Cecil B. DeMille did.
Okay.
And and some of the movie stars were involved in those dedications of the monuments. So I'm thinking, somebody was trying to profit off
Sounds like
of
a
this.
publicity stunt,
It's
right?
publicity stunt for sure. Yeah. So I think the judge probably had the right heart for that. But I think Cecil B. DeMille maybe just saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll take
But
it, right?
So
Interesting.
anyway, I thought that was interesting.
So another thing too, the Ten Commandments posted in school, right? And so because they're part of our culture and legal heritage, one could also question which version of the Ten Commandments is part of our legal and social heritage, right? Because I think if I look through it, there's the Protestant Ten Commandments, there's Catholic, and there's Jewish. I don't think any 3 of them are the same. The wording's the same, right? So which one do you pick? And like you said, why pick the Ten Commandments when there's 700 other laws that you can
Why don't we
cherry
just
pick from,
use the 2 commandments that Jesus said were the most important?
Yeah.
That's what my husband says, why not post those everywhere? Why are we posting the 10 commandments? We could just do the 2 commandments that Jesus said were the most important. Love God and love your neighbor. And if you do that, then everything's covered. All 613 laws are covered. So Jesus said, so I think,
show those 2 commandments, right?
yes, if you follow those 2 commandments, then you've got everything covered, because there are a lot of laws that people don't observe.
Yeah.
Some Christians are pushing the 10 commandments, or whatever appeals to them, in the Old Testament. But then there are others that just get discounted. But you couldn't do that as a Jew.
Yeah.
You had to observe them all. So who gets to decide that, we follow these, we don't follow those? But if you use the litmus test of Jesus saying, these 2 are the most important, and you'll just be covered if you take care of those.
The other reason is sort of people feel that the issue is not schools promoting religion, but it seems like religion's being excluded from public life, right? If you back up 20, 30 years ago, we used to have prayer in schools. I don't know if we still have prayers in schools. We used to...
I guarantee you there are students and teachers praying. It's just...
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
just not mandated. When I was in elementary school, I think we had a prayer. I know, like, we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we did something else. I don't know if it's a prayer or something, but we've since realized that not everyone adheres to that religion. And that's what the framers of the Constitution were worried about, yes, they were Christians, or at least nominally Christians, but they felt very strongly about the separation of church and state.
Yeah. It's probably the current movement probably stems back. There was a court case in 1980 called Stone versus Graham. At the time, Kentucky mandated that a copy of the Ten Commandments actually be placed on the wall of each public classroom, and this court ruling found that requiring Ten Commandments to be posted in public classrooms violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. The court found the law lacked a secular purpose, as the displays were plainly religious. So from that, they sort of said, nope, can't post in public schools. And since then, I think people have been saying, wait, you're taking religion out of the school, we need to put it back in, which is the push to put Ten Commandments. That could be the argument, right?
But I think that also points toward Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And there's that. Oh man, we could just go on and on about that. But
That's for another topic, yes.
think there's a connection there to Christian nationalism, and it's based in fear and racism. That non-white people are going to take over or something. That fear, which is irrational, but you do need to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought this for years, that if you want to legislate religion being taught in the schools, what if it's not the religion that you want your child taught? Even if you're a Christian, I did not want the school to teach my children about that teacher's religion.
Yeah.
I wanted to teach my children about my faith, and I didn't want somebody else confusing my children, or because if I'm a United Methodist over here, there are certain theological beliefs I have that may not match another Christian's.
Yeah.
Maybe a Baptist wouldn't have the same theological beliefs that I do, and I want to teach those to my children.
Sure.
I don't want them to be confused. So I think, you have to be careful what you wish for, because it might not be the brand of religion that you want your kids exposed to.
Yeah. I think, so that's also the problem with schools, right, is it is a sensitive environment because, one, attendance is mandatory, right? You're controlling, everybody's got to go to school, regardless of what your religious background is. And also, students are coming from, I guess, various religious backgrounds or no religion at all. And kids are, with their minds still developing, they could be easier to manipulate into this thought, right?
Yeah.
So it gets to the point of, and I sort of feel this as getting the foot in the door. If we can get the Ten Commandments in the schools, what's next?
Yeah.
Let's teach the Bible as a required mandatory literature class.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Indiana's already looking to do that, right? That's part of a different topic.
That's another topic. Whole nother topic.
But yeah.
But also this idea that the Ten Commandments have some basis in, morality, or that, our laws are based on the Ten Commandments. No, they're not. I mean, thou shalt not murder that's pretty universal.
Yeah.
But let's just be honest, like number 10, people don't adhere to number 10 about not coveting this and that, your neighbor's property, your neighbor's wife, and also that commandment objectifies women. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's, and it lists out property, and women are in that list. And, most of us do not agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are Christian nationalists who do believe that women, should not be allowed to vote, or, other things like that. They shouldn't be allowed to hold offices or whatever. But most of us don't want to objectify women. And that was just, that was that time. And I'm not saying that God was in favor of objectifying women. It's just that at that time, it was a patriarchal culture, and that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Okay.
People do not adhere to the 10th commandment.
Yeah. I know there's also a vote that they want to post the Ten Commandments or put it back in the, the U.S. Capitol building. How many of those senators and representatives actually hear all 10 Commandments, right? Let's list out the people that may not hear those.
And,
so do you think posting on the wall there is going to help them improve their morale or moral behavior? Probably
so
not.
let's just say, somebody in, politics somewhere looks at those 10 Commandments and says, oh, adultery's a sin? Oh, I guess I should stop doing that. No, that's not how it works.
That's on the Constitution,
People
so it's not illegal, right?
People know the difference between right and wrong, and it doesn't matter how many times you put the 10 Commandments up. It's going to be like anything else. People are going to just get used to it, and they're not going to notice it. It's not about bringing people to Jesus.
Yeah.
It's about forcing their brand of Jesus on everybody.
Yeah. It's about control.
And yeah, it is.
Control the masses, yeah.
And it's also racism.
Yes.
It just is, because it's white Christian nationalism. They want the U.S. to be white and Christian.
Sure.
Their brand of Christianity.
Yeah.
And I'm not in favor of that.
No, I'm not either. So if we go back to the beginning, Louisiana, the Court of Appeals said that no, it was wrong. The lower courts deemed it unconstitutional. That's wrong. There's nothing against it in the Constitution to post the 10 Commandments at this point. They say they'll allow it, and they want to see it in practice first. And if someone then brings it back to them saying, hey, because of how it's been practiced, it's unconstitutional, then they can review the rule at that point. Similar to what happened in 1980 is they want to see it in practice first in Louisiana.
Well, aren't there some states that have passed that and posted them?
I think Texas.
Florida? Did Florida?
I'm not sure about Florida.
So if it's already in place somewhere, let's do some research.
Yeah.
let's see how.
That's that state, though, right?
Let's look at the crime rate. Has that dropped because you had the 10 Commandments in school? Is that what you want?
Maybe a 5-year study.
Sometimes I wonder if. I get angry that, are my tax dollars paying for people to sit around in a committee and try to get the 10 Commandments posted in classrooms? That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with our tax dollars.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. And sometimes I wonder if it's not a red herring.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to throw this thing out there that's really not an issue, but we're going to throw it out there and people are going to fight about it. And then while they're looking at that and fighting about that, we'll be over here doing what we don't want them to know about.
And again, I think the other thing is also they could be putting out there is, let's test the water, see how it goes. And then depending on how it's accepted, okay, now let's go one step further. Right?
Yeah.
Foot in the door again. So,
I hate to
be considered.
I hate to be cynical or suspicious, but I am a Gen Xer, and that's what we are.
Yes. So, okay, to summarize, 10 Commandments in the school, is it really going to improve the students' behaviors? I don't know. Time will tell, but has it improved anybody's behavior? It used to be posted in the Capitol building. Did that improve any of the politicians' behavior? So, as you can tell, we are both against it. And looking at the reasoning for it,
I just can't wait to see in the curriculum for kindergarten how we talk about thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to have a cute little graphic when they have the poster or something, right?
And it's just funny because do people really honor the Sabbath the way it's explained to do that in the Old Testament? Do people, do they really have no other gods before God?
Yeah.
Because everybody worships something and it's not always God.
Yeah, that's a good point. If the framers of the Constitution, based off the 10 Commandments, why isn't honoring the Sabbath part of the Constitution? Why isn't it coveting your your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's land part of the Constitution? I don't think it is. They just,
No.
if you want, I mean, it doesn't hold because it says, okay, it's just maybe a coincidence that some of the Ten Commandments are in the Constitution, but like I said, that's not just a Christianity or a Jewish, that's just an overall accepted behavior that we need to, don't kill people.
Yeah. And I think that we want to foster morals in children. Of course we do. But what's in the Ten Commandments? Are those really things that kids do? I mean,
that's a good point.
Petty thievery, but who hasn't stolen a pen or something from work?
Yeah.
Do most kids aren't thinking about murder, and those that are really not going to care that there's a commandment about that. Are they coveting their friend's girlfriend? I don't know. I just think it's odd, and it is it is pushing. It's like stepping over the line.
Yeah.
And I know there are people that think that there shouldn't be separation of church and state. It should all be one.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we've seen that happen in other countries.
I mean, our currency does say "In God We Trust," right? Which was added in the 50s, right?
Yes.
But we can get to that.
Yeah. So, but we've seen that in
The
other
1950s.
countries, right? We've seen other countries establish a state religion. For instance, Germany, Hitler, created a state religion, and that was your only choice.
Yeah.
So we've seen other countries do that, and it always goes horribly wrong. So let's learn from our neighbors' mistakes and not make the same ones.
Yeah. That's good to end on. So, hope you enjoyed watching us. Hope we gave you some food for thought. What do you?
Drop us a comment.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah.
Put some comments in there. Disagree, agree with us. Any other thoughts? Any other things that maybe we didn't touch on with this topic that we could touch on in a future episode? And if you do like this one, hit the like, hit subscribe, and share this with anybody as well. If you think people will like this.
Yeah, because if you subscribe and you hit like, it boosts our videos going out more. And if you've made it this far, drop an emoji. Do we have like a particular emoji to drop?
I don't know.
To choose from?
I'm not being that creative right now. I'm not in the creative mindset.
I just want to know if somebody, made it all the way through.
There you go.
Our conversation. So
put an emoji in there.
I don't know. Put a smiley face.
Smiley face, that works too. Well, thanks again for watching us. Hope you have a good rest of your night wherever you are.
Bye.